Hi nurses, this is again Haya and I am an educator here in the Middle East Online Review team of the IPASS Online Review and Mentoring Academy, the online review mentoring of IPASS processing. And for today, we're going to study again another most common topic in your Middle East exam, and that is heart failure. So let me share my screen here for the question, going to rationalize it and have our test taking technique and strategies. All right, the question says, the patient was diagnosed of right-sided heart failure. Which of the following manifestation is uncommon to this cardiovascular disorder? Option 1, dependent edema. 2, weight gain. 3, crackles in the lungs. And 4, jugular vein distension. For us to be able to answer this question correctly, we should see the clues. The first clue is right-sided heart failure. And the second clue is we are looking for the uncommon manifestation. If it's uncommon to the right-sided heart failure, therefore, we are looking for the manifestation of the left-sided heart failure. All right, let's have a short discussion about this one. All right, we have two types of heart failure, dear nurses. We have the left side heart failure and the right-sided heart failure. All right, let me write here. All right, let's have our normal mechanism of the heart, normal blood flow. All right, our blood enters the heart from the superior vena cava and from the inferior vena cava going to the what? Right atrium down to your tricuspid valve, going to your right ventricle. When the right ventricle is filled with blood, it will pump blood to the what? To the pulmonary artery, and then pulmonary artery, it will direct your blood to the lungs for oxygenation. It will go back to your left atrium through your pulmonary veins down to your mitral valve to your what? Left ventricle, and then the left ventricle will contract, going now to your aorta, going to the systemic circulation. That is our normal blood flow. However, in heart failure, meaning the muscles of the heart is failing. If the muscles fail, the contraction of the heart fails. Instead of pumping out blood sufficiently to the systemic circulation and to the lungs, the pumping mechanism is what? Failing, or it is decreased. So in your heart failure, when the blood from your lungs enters your left atrium, going to your left ventricle, since this area is enlarged, since this area is already failing, when it pumps, when it contracts, it is decreased, or the contraction is decreased. Therefore, the blood going to your aorta is decreased. The blood now stays in your left ventricle. When it stays there, the left ventricle becomes congested. Why? There is stasis of the blood, and there is also incoming blood from your left atrium. So the blood stays here, making this area failing, making this area congested. Congestion leads to backflow. All right. Let me just change color here. So congestion leads to backflow. So the blood from your left ventricles, what? Goes up to your left atrium. All right. From your left atrium, it will also be congested going back to your lungs. When it goes back to your lungs, since the origin is from the left side of the heart, it's now called your left-sided what? Heart failure, because the origin is from the left side of the heart, and the manifestations now are lung, what? Lung manifestations such as shortness of breath, difficulty of breathing, crackles in the lungs, what? Coughing. So anything that is related to the lungs and to the left side, that is left-sided heart failure. Let's discuss now the right-sided heart failure. So if the lungs are now congested, the blood from the lungs will go back to your what? It will enter your it could go back to your pulmonary arteries, entering now your what? Right ventricles. When your right ventricles have congestion of blood, why? Why, dear nurses? Why there is congestion? Because there is backflow from your lungs and there is incoming from your right atrium. So backflow plus incoming equals congestion. Congestion equals regurgitation. Another congestion, this part equals regurgitation again. When the blood regurgitates, when the blood has backflowed to your systemic circulation, and the origin is your right side of the heart, it is now called what? Right-sided heart failure, because the origin is from the right side of the heart. And this type of heart failure, the manifestation of this is something related to the systemic circulation, which are what? Dependent edema, problems in the liver, problems in the kidneys, weight gain, jugular vein distension. All right. So again, dear nurses, test-taking technique and strategy. When the origin is on the left side, letter L, and the manifestations are letter L as well, lung in origin, that is left-sided heart failure. If the origin is from the right side of the heart and the manifestations are related to the systemic circulation aside from the lung problems, that is now right-sided heart failure. So with this one, let's go back to the question. All right. Let's go back to the question here and let me just clear the screen. All right. The patient was diagnosed of right-sided heart failure. We are looking for the uncommon manifestation. So if it's uncommon to the right, it is now a left-sided heart failure. Dependent edema, is it a left or a right? It's a right-sided heart failure. If you have a dependent edema, you will also have what? Of course, weight gain because of the fluid stasis. So this is also right-sided heart failure. Crackles in the lungs. So letter L, lungs. This is left-sided heart failure. And jugular vein distension, it's another what? Systemic. If it's systemic, it is what? Right-sided heart failure. So our correct answer, dear nurses, is what? It's option number 3, crackles in the lungs. So if you want to know more about your heart failure and the other most common topics in your Middle East review, join us on November 3 for the start of the class of the Middle East online review of IPASS processing. See you then in class. You have a great day. Bye.